Besties, welcome back to my channel. Today is a super exciting day because it is the first video of my monthly series doing book stuff with Bryn. We have quite the schedule today. First, we're gonna run to Barnes and get my 2 new releases. I'm doing my best to only buy anticipated releases and then series I want to continue so that my physical TBR doesn't get too much bigger than it already is. Once we get back from Barnes, we're gonna update my reading journal, which I'm so excited about. If you didn't see my first reading journal video where I made my reading journal, it's right here if you want to watch that after this. I have a bunch of fun categories on there. I'm excited to update my monthly favorites, reading the alphabet, seeing my average rating so far, and just things like that. After that, we're going to do a little January recap. So we're going to talk about the books I read in January, and we're going to talk about my February TBR. Super excited, and let's go to Barnes. I completely fell victim to the ads, but I love it. So isn't that so cool? I'm trying to drink Diet Coke less, but we're having ourselves a little day, a little treat, so I'm gonna grab one.
Hi, welcome to McDonald's. Would you be using your mobile?
Can I just get a large Diet Coke, please? Thank you. Hi guys, I'm in the Barnes & Noble parking lot with my Diet Coke. Do you ever just cry over Taylor Swift because you just love her so much? The fact I get to be alive at the same time as Taylor Swift, what are the coincidence? What a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences, so not a coincidence, but what a blessing, I guess I should say. She could have been alive in 3,000 years, or I could have been alive 4,000 years ago, but no, we're in the same timeline. Isn't that beautiful? Who's Afraid of Little Old Me is my favorite song she's ever written. I have tears even just thinking about it. I'm reading Throne of Glass for the first time, and I'm on Heir of Fire, and it reminds me of Aelin so much. I was literally borderline crying when it came on because I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally Aelin's story, word for word, at least so far, that the amount that I know of her story. I apologize if my car is loud, it's very old. She's old, but we love her. Let's go to the barn. The lighting is so bad because it's 4 p.m. but so my anticipated release that came out today is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I didn't even know it had the sprayed edges. That's so fun. Might be spicy. And then the back has a little, okay, so I'm super excited about this. And then I thought First Time Caller came out today, but it actually comes out next Tuesday, so I'll probably just Amazon that. I don't know. If you know me, you know I'm obsessed with Powerless, Reckless, Powerful by Lauren Roberts. With the thread for Adina. I know the steering wheel's in the way, but I'm just really short, so it's hard to be over it. The thread for Adina, I actually choked up. I choked up. And it's the same size as the other books. The little one right now, this is gonna fit flush between Powerless and Reckless. Oh, I'm so excited. So let's go home now and update my reading journal. finished my reading journal, and that was literally so much fun. If you don't have a reading journal, it's not too late to start. I literally got this from Five Below. It was like $3, and I got the markers from Five Below too. Then everything else I already had. I was looking forward to this all month. I would definitely recommend. I'm so annoyed with myself though. I got makeup on my sweatshirt, which I don't know how I managed to do that. I feel like I was very careful, but whatever, it'll come out in the wash. This is my friend Juliana's brand, Proud of You. You may know her as Books with JB on YouTube. She's such an amazing person. I would definitely recommend. This is so comfortable, like I'm literally living in it. We're gonna do a little reading journal overview tour. This page is my book tracker, and I just do different colors based off of the ratings. So I read 5 books this month, and there were 2 5-stars, 2 4-stars, and 1 3-star. I just kind of round down. And then we have my DNF graveyard. I didn't DNF anything this month. And my book bingo. I filled out the 2 free spaces, and then I just did the 5-star. The A to Z challenge is one of my favorite things I had in here. I love that Sarah Caroli does that. Then this is my immediate TBR cart. So I have Beartown. Next is Read the Rainbow. So I filled out the orange one for Iron Flame. I could do blue for Beartown and all that, but I don't want to fill it up too quickly, so I'm kind of like going slowly. Okay, then this is stats by month. So I read 5 books, and they were all physical books that I owned. 0 audiobooks, 0 Kindle books, and in total it came to 2,358 pages. Another monthly overlook. My favorite book of this month was Beartown. These were my anticipated releases. I update this like as needed, but my anticipated releases this month were The Favorites, Beautiful Ugly, and Onyx Storm. And as you can see, I bought all of these. Just another anticipated release page. Next is my series tracker. So I read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and then I did Crown of Midnight in the Throne of Glass series. Next is my January wrap-up, where I go a little bit more into detail of each book I read. We already went over how many books I read in the pages. My favorite book again was Beartown. I just said a little review about it, why I loved it, and then I made a list of books I bought, which were only my 3 anticipated releases, which was really good for me. Then after that, I go into more individual stats. So the dates I read the books, the genre, the format, the summary, and then how many stars it is. And I just did that for every book I read this month. The last thing in my reading journal is just my January summary, so it's just the titles and their ratings. And that's my reading journal. It's nothing fancy. I'm not a professional artist, but I had so much fun doing it and I really enjoyed it. Now it's time for our January wrap up. So as you saw, in January I read 5 books. So my first read of 2025 was Beartown by Fredrik Backman. In case you missed it, I did an entire reading vlog on this, and that was so much fun. Beartown is about a small town, and they're obsessed with ice hockey, specifically the Junior Ice Hockey League. Something traumatic happens and they kind of have to face each other as a community. People are dividing sides. It's really truly amazing. It's almost like you know all and see all. It's not in first person point of view, but you see everything that's going on through each individual person's like head. This was just one of the most beautiful books I read. I gave this 5 stars, and I would highly recommend. After that, I read Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and this follows Violet Sorrengail and her adventure through Basgiath War College. She's training to be a dragon rider. I loved every second of this. Like, I'm sure you've seen this everywhere, and it's worth it. I love Violet as a character, and I just loved all the characters, to be completely honest. The plot lines were so well thought out, and I felt very emotionally invested. I could picture the world around me. I also rated this 5 stars. After that, I picked up Iron Flame, and this is the second book to Fourth Wing. This just continues to follow Violet at school. Now she's in her 2nd year of school. There's a war going on, and honestly, I love wars in fantasy worlds. A Court of Wings and Ruin is my favorite book of all time. I didn't like it as much as Fourth Wing. It felt a little bit dragged on, but it's definitely worth the read. So I rated this 4 stars. After that, I read Crown of Midnight, the 2nd book, but I read The Assassin's Blade first. So for me, it's the 3rd book, if that makes sense. So I read the prequel, Throne of Glass, and then now Crown of Midnight. I loved this book. I don't want to say too much because if you haven't read Throne of Glass or The Assassin's Blade, this won't make sense and I don't want to spoil it for you. But basically we continue to follow Celaena and her journey in the kingdom. She does typical Celaena things and goes where she's not supposed to and is very straight up with all the people around her, and we find out like crazy things throughout the book. I adore this book. I adore her. My heart is invested in this series already. So I rated this 4.5. I only took off 0.5 because there's like a twist, as most books are, but I guessed it a while ago, which I never guessed twists, so I was kind of like, I don't know if it was supposed to be obvious. I have to talk to some people and see if that's like the point. I wish it was more of a dramatic moment, but it wasn't. The last book I picked up this month was Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney, and this was actually released this month. Rock, Paper, Scissors is like my favorite thriller of all time, so I always pick up Alice Feeney's new releases. And this was pretty good. Essentially, an author is waiting for his wife to come home to celebrate, like he got really good news, and they're on the phone while she's on her way home. And she sees something in the middle of the road and stops. And he's like, no, don't get out, like don't. And she's like, I want to see what it is. So she goes to see, and then she goes missing. And it's a year later, and this author's struggling to write because all he can think about is his missing wife. So he goes to a private island, and this is not a spoiler, like this is totally in the synopsis. He goes to a private island that's completely remote to write because he thinks it'll help him, and just crazy things happen. I enjoyed this. It wasn't my favorite Alice Feeney book, but it was good. Like, it was fine. I gave this 3.5 stars. So those were all the books I read in January, and now let's talk about my February hopefuls. And last but not least, let's go over the 6 books I want to read in February. So to be totally transparent, I don't really know what a lot of these are about. I just have like a general idea. A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. This is essentially about a woman who lives her life in romances and is like, oh, I love fictional men because they won't hurt me, which, like, real girl. And then she gets trapped in the town of her favorite romance. Like, how does Ashley think of these? Like, genuinely, how does she think of these? She's so good. In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle. All I know is that the main character, Danny, spends 1 hour 5 years in the future, and then she goes back to the present, I think. My mom loved this, so that's why I'm reading it, but it sounds really good, and it's really short. So I thought this was just a good one to throw in for February. Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates. My book talk friends have been begging me to read these forever. I'm really excited to get into the Magnolia Parks universe because I'm going to London for the first time in March, and I'm trying to finish all of them before I go there. These books follow London socialites. There's 3 other ones, and I believe it's like more than one story. So it follows Magnolia and BJ, then it follows Daisy and someone else. Maybe just Daisy, I'm not even sure. I need to do more research on these, but I want to read these 2 this month and the next 3 before I go to London in mid-March. The next book on my February hopefuls, or February to be read, is The Favorites by Lynn Fargo. I literally do not know anything about this except that everyone raves about it, and it's about 2 ice skaters. So this says, a sexy, gut-wrenching book about 2 soulmates who dance around each other on and off ice. A story as shimmering and lethal as figure skating itself. I don't think this is something I would pick up if it didn't have such good reviews. So, I don't know. I'm intrigued. Last but not least, I'm on Heir of Fire in Throne of Glass. I'm so excited to be making my way through this series because I just absolutely love it. So this is technically the 3rd book, the 4th for me, because as I said, I read The Assassin's Blade, which is the prequel, first. I'm currently reading The Unmaking of June Farrow, which will be in my mood reading vlog that I'll be posting after this one. And then I need to finish Onyx Storm because I paused halfway through. It was just really slow and I didn't want to get into a slump, so I know it gets better, but I needed a break. So maybe those will be my 8 books. Maybe I'll read not all these, maybe I'll read more. You'll have to wait and find out next month when we do this fun vlog again. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching this. Please like and subscribe for more videos. Support means the world, and I'll see you next time. Happy reading!